Inside your body, right this very second, there's a microscopic war going on. It's this incredible battle between your body's own defense forces and cells that have basically gone rogue. So today, we're going to decode the battle plans of this internal war, a field we call tumor immunology. And just look at this. I mean, this isn't some CGI from a movie. This is a real image of a T cell, a soldier from your immune system, in the middle of attacking a cancer cell. This one picture tells you everything you need to know. Your body has its own cancer-fighting army, and we're here to understand its playbook. But you gotta ask, is this battle even real? For a long, long time, that was a huge question mark. So first things first, let's look at the evidence that proved once and for all that our immune system is absolutely in this fight. This is the fundamental question, isn't it? It sounds so simple now, but for more than 100 years, this was one of the biggest debates in all of medicine. Does our immune system even notice tumors? And if it does it actually do anything about them? Or does it just ignore them? Okay, so this slide gives us our first major clue. On the left, you're seeing tumors that are just swarming with immune cells. And that graph on the right, it shows us the result. The more of these T cells you find inside a tumor, the better the patient's chances of survival. It's a really powerful link. But as any scientist will tell you, seeing two things happen together isn't proof that one causes the other, right? Were these T cells actually the assassins, or were they just innocent bystanders at the scene of the crime? To really know for sure, we needed an experiment. And here it is. This is the proof. Check out the column on the right. Scientists took T cells from a mouse that had a tumor and they transferred them into a different mouse that had the same kind of tumor. And the result? The tumor was completely wiped out. This was the smoking gun. It proved that T cells are the killers, and, this is really important, that this is a form of adaptive immunity. That means the immune system can learn, it can remember, and it can go after a very specific target. All right, so we've established our immune system can fight cancer. So the next logical question is, how? How in the world does a T cell tell the difference between a healthy cell it needs to protect and a cancer cell it has to destroy? Well, the answer comes down to something called tumor antigens. The easiest way to think about these are as little molecular flags that cancer cells stick on their surface. They're basically screaming to the immune system, hey, something's wrong over here. I'm not normal. And it's these flags that T cells are trained to hunt down. But where do they come from? Well, the first source is from changes in the cell's DNA. See, cancer is fundamentally a disease of mutations, and sometimes these mutations create brand new proteins, we call them neoantigens, that the immune system has literally never seen before. Another way this happens is when cancer-causing viruses like HPV infect a cell, they bring their own foreign proteins with them, creating even more flags for the immune system to spot. Now, the second source of these flags is a little more subtle. In this case, the flags are made of totally normal proteins, but they're just behaving weirdly. For example, a cancer cell might start making a huge unnatural amount of a certain protein, or it might start expressing a protein that's usually only found somewhere totally different in the body, like in the testes. In both cases, the context is all wrong, and that's a signal the immune system can pick up on. So our T cells have their targets, the flags are waving. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of how they actually launch their attack, and crucially, how cancer cells have gotten so clever at fighting back. This cycle you see here is basically the immune system's master plan. It all starts when a special kind of scout cell, called a dendritic cell, finds one of those tumor antigen flags. It gobbles it up, travels to a nearby lymph node, think of it like a military base, and presents this intelligence to a bunch of naive T cells. This primes the exact T cells that can recognize that specific flag. Those chosen T cells then multiply into a huge army, travel through the blood to the tumor, and carry out their mission: find and kill. Okay, this all sounds pretty amazing, right? A beautiful, powerful, elegant system. Which, of course, leads us to the most important question in this entire field. If this cycle exists, why does it fail? Why do people still get sick and even die from cancer? And the answer, in one word, is evolution. Under this constant pressure from the immune system, tumors evolve ways to escape. They can hide their flags so the T cells can't see them. They can disarm the T cells directly by hitting a built-in off switch called PD-L1. Or they can even sabotage the whole attack by recruiting other immune cells that actually protect the tumor and get in the way of the killers. It's a brilliant but devastating counterattack. For decades, this was basically a stalemate. But now we have entered a completely new era. We have finally figured out how to intervene in this battle and tip the scales back in our favor. This is the dawn of cancer immunotherapy. Now, this didn't happen overnight. It was a journey that took over 100 years, from some really early, weird observations all the way to the revolutionary drugs we have today. And this long road has led us to two main strategies for fighting back. So let's break down those two strategies. The first one is called checkpoint blockade. This is all about releasing the brakes. We use drugs to block those off switches that the cancer cells were hitting, which basically unleashes the T cells that are already there. The second big strategy is called adoptive cell therapy. Here, instead of just releasing the brakes, we build a whole new army. We actually take a patient's own T cells out of their body, grow them into massive numbers in a lab, and then infuse them back in. And the result of all this? Wow. This graph for advanced melanoma really says it all. This was a disease that was pretty much a death sentence. But look at the incredible shift in survival. See that flat part of the curve at the end, that tail? That represents people in long-term survival. For many, immunotherapy is turning what was impossible into a reality. So, where does this all go from here? We've gotten really good at taking the brakes off our immune system. The big question now is, what's going to happen when we figure out how to press the accelerator? The battle within is still raging, but for the first time, we're really learning how to help our bodies win the war.